Yes, so good morning, everybody. Welcome to our Saturday morning call, Love Team call. Our special guest today is Jill Stafford, who is a world-class boxer coming up in that world, and she's starting to be more recognized, and she's an amazing woman, and she's a blue diamond in Purium. And we're going to have the pleasure today of hearing her share with us some of her visualization ideas and techniques. And I've had the pleasure of knowing Jill maybe, gosh, it seems like about a year, maybe a year and a half, 2 years. Yes. And I get the biggest pleasure out of watching her. She gets on some of the company calls or she does some of these little trainings. And I just love how she talks and how she presents herself. And so simple, so easy to get, so easy to understand. And most of all, I really love how likable she is. And, as I said, she's a boxer. So I'm sure she's not as likable when you get in that ring with her, So I'm going to so Jill's going to share with us some visualization ideas and techniques and what's working for her. She's becoming a top boxer in the women's world of boxing. And she's a blue diamond in Purium, so something's really working for her. And I look forward to hearing some of what she has to share with us today. So Jill, welcome to our call.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. And this is something that visualization is not something I'm an expert in by no means, but what I can tell you is that I do it and it works. So I do want to kind of share a little story of how I even not so much introduced, but it was probably the first time that I really even realized that this actually does work. I should probably keep doing this. So that for me, so visualization is something I've kind of done I don't want to say entire life, but since I was a young age, I've always been an athlete. So as an athlete, visualizing your practices, visualizing your games, visualizing your wins has always been something that I've done, but no one ever actually told me to do it. It was just something that it came naturally to me. It just felt like that's what you do is you picture yourself winning, right? I mean, we all want to be winners here. So, but as I got older and got into the sport of boxing, the visualization had to pick up a little bit more. I think probably because the type of sport that it was is just, there's a chance that I can really get hurt. And I am putting my life on the line. So it's at that point, the visualization to me was like, I relied on it. Like I needed to do it. But before me even realizing how much that this really does work, I'll share just a quick little story of how I was more so enlightened by it. And that was back in 2018. I was training for my first national tournament. I had never been to a big tournament. You guys, I joined boxing really late. I started boxing at 25. Most people start boxing when they're kids, when they're 12, 11, like super young. So I had to pick up and make up for a lot of time and experience that I didn't have. So going into this tournament back in 2018, you were supposed to have 5 fights to compete at this tournament, this national tournament. I only had 3 fights. And looking back, it's kind of funny how it all worked out, but I had 3 fights and we did whatever we could to be able to find these next 2 fights for me to be able to actually go to the tournament. So I ended up getting a fight a weekend before the national championships. So I had to cut weight and do all the same stuff I would normally do for a fight a weekend before my actual tournament. So I did that. I had my 4th fight. I was still 1 fight shy for me to actually be technically allowed to go to this tournament. Somehow we swung some things here and there and they gave me the exception to go. So I was like, okay, cool. So now I'm now allowed to go. I only have 4 fights. You're supposed to have 5. And probably a couple days out, I think 3 days out from us actually leaving to go to New Mexico, that's where the tournament was going to be held, I lost my job. I'm a personal trainer. Something had happened at the retirement resort I was working at. The company I was with, they were told to leave, and I was part of that company. So I had lost my job a couple days before this huge tournament, the biggest tournament until the Olympic trials, which came later in my life. Up to that point, though. So for me, I was really starting to kind of stress out. My weight was not where it should be because I had just cut weight the weekend before. So now I'm having to cut weight again. And when you go to a tournament, you have to maintain your weight cut. So you can't be an ounce over. If you're an ounce over, you are disqualified from the tournament. So I'm going through a time of I had just lost my job, so I have no income coming in. Going to these tournaments is really expensive. I had just hurt both of my wrists. I was running and I fell and I landed awkwardly both on both of my wrists. So I was going through just a really stressful, emotional time, and me thinking about going to this tournament was just like all these thoughts just started flooding, just like you're inexperienced, you're unqualified, because technically I was unqualified to go because I didn't have the fights. You're not meant to go. You're probably going to lose. Is it even worth it? So I had all these thoughts just kind of like running in through my brain. So I was letting my coaches know, because like when you're with your boxing coaches, you have to be very transparent with them because they are the ones in your corner. So I started telling my coaches, this is how I'm feeling. I don't know what to do, like what's going on. So they called a meeting. We had a meeting and they literally told me, if you don't want to go, that's okay. Like, we understand. Like, you have all this stuff going on. You just lost your job. I know we're having difficulty making that weight again. I think I was 3 or 4 pounds overweight. And I was just like, after they said that, then my first response was, I have to go. I have nothing to lose. So after I said that, they were like, all right, cool, let's go. Like, they were hyped after I said that. They're like, okay, cool. If you the athlete says you still want to go, even though all these different things are happening, we have to go. So I get on to my flight to go over to New Mexico. While I was on the flight, I just like close my eyes. I start just envisioning the entire tournament. So this is a week-long tournament, 7-day tournament. I started picturing all the fights I'm going to have to go through, everything that I'm going to be feeling, all these different things. And at this point, you guys, this is not something I had. This is not a technique that I had down. This was just something that I was like, this feels like I should do this. So while I'm on my way over there, I start to get my phone out and I open up my notes because I journal all the time. It's something I've always done, but my journal is packed away in my bag. So I took out my phone and I started to write in my notes. And I started to write out how the tournament was going to go, not how the tournament was going to go, but really what I was going to say after the tournament, what I was going to post on my Instagram after I won the entire tournament. So in my mind, as I'm writing this out, I had already won. There was no doubts in my mind. It was just now a matter of actually doing the work, because in my mind, the fight was already done. The tournament was already done. I had already won the entire thing. So this is what I'm going to say after I win the tournament, because I already won. And while I was doing that, I started to feel so much. My heart started racing. I started to get sweaty. I started to have knots in my stomach while I'm thinking about all of this. And then I just had like relief right after that. So I was just like blown away by the actual sensations that I was feeling while even just imagining and picturing this whole tournament that I was going through. So the relief was now, okay, it just has to be done now. I just have to go do it. So, because I had already won in my mind. Now, I'm not going to say that meant it was easy sailing after that. I had to do this literally every single day that I was out there, because those thoughts came back every single day that I was out there. So I get there. I had one day to be able to cut those 3 pounds. I wish I would have had Purium back then, but I didn't. So I was doing it the way that I don't even want to tell you guys how I did it, because I don't want anybody to copy what I did. So I ended up being able to make weight. I had going into my first fight, and I see the girl that I'm gonna fight. Big muscular girl, and I'm tall. I'm 5'10". I fight at 152, or she's a little bit shorter, a little bit stockier. And I'm like, oh, okay. I had no idea who she was though before going to fight her. I didn't know till afterwards that she had already won some other national tournaments. So I was just going into it like, oh, it's just another girl I'm gonna fight. So I go into my very first fight to fight her, and I just did everything I possibly could. I actually ended up tearing my esophagus in my first fight. So the rest of the tournament, I actually ended up coughing up blood. literally day and night throughout the entire rest of the week. Obviously not a good thing, but I was at a point where I just had to do whatever I could do. So after that fight, I won my first fight. Now I had the next day I had to go into, or 2 days later, I had to go into my second fight. So I actually got a day rest. I won my second fight. Third fight was coming up. So this was going to be the finals in the national championship for my weight class. So I was going to be fighting a girl that was undefeated. Her hometown was New Mexico, Albuquerque, New Mexico. That's where we were. So I knew I could not leave this in the judges' hands. I had to make it noticeable that I was the winner, because when something like that happens, I don't know if you guys know politics in boxing, but they will give it to the hometown winner if you can make it look kind of close. So I did everything that I could in that last fight. And I just remember the way that I felt. I could not feel my arms anymore. My arms literally were numb. And somehow I like stepped out of my body and I could actually see myself like as a machine, just like working, doing everything that I could. My arms did not stop flying that entire fight. End of the fight, my hand got raised. So I ended up being the 2018 unqualified, inexperienced national champion. Because of that, because I won that tournament, I actually ended up being ranked number 4 in the nation. So that was the first time I was actually on the rankings, and I have been ranked ever since that tournament on the ranking boards. So to me, that was like, okay. Oh, before I go any further. So after I won, I took that same exact thing that I wrote on the way over to the tournament, on the way over to New Mexico. I didn't change it at all. I posted that same exact thing that I wrote. And I just got to put a picture with it because now I was holding a trophy. So to me, that was like, okay, this is something. And even then, I don't even think then I even realized how powerful this actually was, that I was doing. I was journaling every single night. I was writing this out every single night, all day, literally for hours, because when you have a fight, you literally cannot sleep. Like I would go to bed at like 3 a.m, wake up at 6 to go weigh in at 7, and then fight later that day. And I would repeat that for literally 7 days. So it's a very stressful time. So you really do have to get into some type of practice, some type of routine to actually even keep you focused. So I do have, am I able to share my screen, Michael?
Well, hold on. I'll make that available. Hold on one second.
Thank you. So I do have some things that I wrote out, just some 7 tips to be able to help people get started in something like this. This is more for like, if you're new. I know a lot of people on here have been doing visualization for a while. So, but here are some, I'm going to show you guys some tips that you guys can use to take and start today. And then we'll do some exercises as well. Not like exercise, you know. Am I, oh, I think you did. Okay. Okay, cool. Okay. Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. So this is what I wrote. I was given every way out of this competition. I hurt both wrists right before, lost my job, was having difficulties with my weight. I was told it was okay not to go and to wait for the next one. Every part of me was willing and ready to use any of those as an excuse. My heart was telling me to give up. My mind was telling me you're not good enough. But something inside me overcame all those things. It was aching, pulling, and pushing me forward. God opened doors. He moved my feet forward. I had every way out, but I kept my eyes looking forward. And I put trust in that this is what, where, who I am supposed to be right now. So that's what I wrote before I actually won, because I had already knew that I was going to put this with an awesome picture. I thought I was going to get a really cool belt. I didn't. I got a little trophy. So that's okay. But that was what I had wrote. Now, whoops. There we go. So tapping into the subconscious mind. So this quote, love it. Whatever we plant in our subconscious mind and nourish with repetition and emotion will one day become a reality. So our mind works as a GPS system. Whatever we tell it, whatever you've asked for, wherever you are right now in your life, you've actually already asked for that. That's where you have planted your GPS to go to, is this destination right here. So the cool thing is that we are able to plant that GPS system within our subconscious mind. So when we are able to actually program where we want to go, our destination of where we want to go, it's going to be easier for us to actually get there. And that's where visualization comes into play. So actually seeing it, feeling it, experiencing it, all of those things are going to be part of your GPS system, your roadmap to actually get to the goal, to the destination where you want to be. Okay, so 7 tips. I'm moving this thing all around. Try not to overthink things. So when you're first getting started, if this is something new to you, again, I know some people on here, this is not new to you. When you're first getting into it, try not to overthink it. Like if you're thinking about a square, doesn't matter how big, how small, just get started, and try not to get into the worry about things, because when you're visualizing, when you start to think about what you want and your goals and this, that, and the other, you don't want to have it to be stressful. You don't want to have to worry about what you're even visualizing. You want to be more fluid in your thoughts. Use all of your senses. So this was something, again, when I was talking about that story that I did and I didn't know that I was doing. So when you're thinking about your destination, when you're thinking about your goal, like use your senses to actually be there in that experience. So for example, one of mine right now that I do is I want a backyard. I live in an apartment. I don't have a balcony. I don't have a yard. I want my own backyard. So something that I do when I'm visualizing is I'll lay there and I'll close my eyes and I'll visualize that I'm laying outside in my backyard and I can feel the sun on my skin. I can feel the grass in my fingers. And as I'm doing that, my skin literally heats up. Like my body actually can feel what I'm wanting it to feel. So when you're putting yourself in that state, it's going to, again, bring you closer to that destination and that goal. So, and sometimes using this, if you're having a hard time, like actually visualizing or thinking about actually picturing yourself in that position, sometimes using your senses is going to actually help you get to that point, especially because we all think differently. We all use these senses differently. So for me, I am more of a touchy person. So for me, I have to actually visualize things that I can feel, taste, see, and it helps me actually bring me into that experience even more so. Okay, getting distracted. So this is something I really had to overcome. And doing the visualization, I would just start thinking about, and I'd be like, oh, wait, what do I have to do today? Wait, what's for dinner? And I would just start having all these different thoughts, like just like coming and going. So I had to just kind of bring myself back to my awareness. That can mean taking a couple deep breaths or just, relaxing a little bit more. Bring yourself back into what you are actually visualizing. Bring yourself back into the senses. And that way, again, this happens to everybody. So if you find yourself in this monkey brain type of state while you're doing this, don't judge yourself. It's all good. Just bring yourself back. Obviously, make sure you're relaxed. So this is something that when I was more so doing it, at first I really had to be in a position of being like relaxed, like not really moving, just kind of sitting there, laying there, whatever it is. Now I can do it on the go. So like now when I'm getting into my car and I actually want to be getting into my Mercedes GLE 450, I pretend like I'm getting into my Mercedes GLE 450. So you can start to kind of play around with it as you're going. You can actually just turn it on and off as you're visualizing throughout your day. So, but at first, maybe making sure that you're relaxed and kind of just really focusing on that is a good way to start. Having a visualization practice. So this is something I do every day, more so for the past 42 days, very specific. I've been doing this every single morning after, because I work out first thing in the morning. So I actually work out and then I come home and then I do this. So I come home, I actually journal first. So I actually write it first, handwrite it, and then I'll take a couple minutes to actually sit back and visualize. So that could be, for me right now, it's about a 5-minute practice that I do. It can be 2 minutes. It doesn't have to be something an hour or something crazy long, whatever works best for you. And even if as you're visualizing, even if just looking at pictures is a good place to start. So if you have some things or like a vision board where you can just look at and let that kind of help you bring you into that visualization, that can always work as well. Connect with the emotion. So this is definitely key. So this is when I was envisioning me winning my fights, I felt what it was like to win. How happy was I? And now this in our Purium business, this could mean a rank. So how do you feel when you hit this rank? What is the emotion behind it? Are you super excited? Are you at peace? Like what's going on emotionally? So that's going to make the experience be more real within your visualization practice. Last one, visualize with a sense of knowing. So you have to just know that it's already been done. So example, back to my fight, I already knew that I had won. So when you guys are visualizing, don't visualize with the sense of you are thinking about the future. Visualize in a sense of it is now. It is happening right now. Because again, your subconscious mind, it doesn't know the difference between what is real and what is not. So if you can let it experience what you're making it think is real, again, that GPS system on your way to your goal, your destination is going to be easier. Okay, so I do have some exercises that I want to take you guys through. Nothing crazy long, but this is going to be more towards the business side of things with Purium. You guys can use it for whatever you want. I'm just going to give it to you on that, more of that side. So here, let me just escape out of here real quick. Okay. So we all have short-term, long-term goals for this exercise. Let's just do short-term. So let's just do our next 90 days. I know that's been kind of our theme. So let's just use these next 90 days for this practice here. So 90 days would be December 10th, just so you guys have an exact date in your mind. So first I want you guys to start with gratitude. So if you have a pen and paper, write this down. I'm going to give you guys a couple seconds here and there to kind of, finish out what you're writing. If not, you can take, a note of what I'm writing. So we're not going to spend too much time. So gratitude. So right now I want you to write or think about 5 things that you are grateful for right now. So that could be you woke up this morning, I'm grateful for my cats, grateful to have food in the fridge, whatever it is. And then I want you to write 5 things that you are grateful for on December 10th. But I want you to write it down like it's already happened. So whether, let's just say it's a rank. So I am grateful that I am a crown leader. I am grateful that I am making $20,000 a month, or whatever. I am grateful I have a team that leads. I'm grateful I have leaders of leaders. Whatever it is, that's going to float your boat. So write those 5 things down. So 5 things that you're grateful for in this moment, and then 5 things that you're grateful for on December 10th, but you're going to write them down as if they are happening right now. I'll just give you guys a couple more seconds to do that. Okay, so the next one is, we're again making this more relatable to the business side. So what rank did you just achieve? What rank did you just accomplish on December 10th? And like, again, you could make that from November 30th. It doesn't have to be December 10th. How did that make you feel, achieving that rank? What are you doing? How are you celebrating winning or achieving that rank? What does this mean for you? I'll give you guys about a minute. So what rank did you just achieve? How did that make you feel? What are you doing? How are you celebrating? And what does this mean for you? You got about 20 more seconds. Okay, the next one is what kind of traits, characteristics does this person that achieved this rank, if that's the goal that you set, achieve this rank? What type of traits and characteristics does this person have? So if you chose crown, are you a leader of leaders? Maybe this person's more structured. Maybe they're more organized. So what kind of traits and characteristics does this person have that just achieved this rank? Okay, next one, last one that I'll have you guys do. What is your team like? Are they coachable, willing, hungry? Do they want to make an impact? Are they servant leaders? Happy to serve others? Can they operate independent of you? Can they lead their own trainings? I'll give you guys about 20 more seconds. All right, time. Okay. Does anybody want to share what they said for any of these, or for at least 3 and 4? What kind of traits, characteristics, or what rank did you choose? And then what kind of traits, characteristics does that person have? Does anybody want to share? I know somebody does.
Okay, I'll share, Jill.
All right, go ahead, Veronica.
All right.
I was going to wait here anyways.
So what kind of traits or characteristics does this person have? I've said persistent, optimistic, hardworking, organized, a go-getter.
Perfect. Love it. Yes. What rank did you choose?
Green diamond.
Awesome. Yes. Love it. Perfect. See, and that's just what this is. So now you know. Now looking at that, now you guys looking at what you guys wrote down, right? Looking at the traits and characteristics that this person has as a green diamond, as a blue diamond, as a crown, whatever the rank is that you guys chose, right? That person, you have to be that person now. So that's not the person that you are once December 10th comes that you are, or November, whatever, December, let's say December 10th. Once December 10th comes, you now all of a sudden become that person. You become that person now. So optimistic, persistent, coachable, whatever you guys wrote down of what the characteristics that person has in December, we need to practice those now. We need to become that person now. So start to visualize that person. And every day you can start to visualize those characteristics and traits that you wrote down and start to adopt them and adapt them to yourself in this very moment. So if you are able to actually act out what you guys have written down for you in the future, it's going to catalyze the effect of you actually achieving that goal. Now, same thing for your team. What is your team like, right? So if you wrote something like they're coachable, they're leaders of leaders, they can run independent of myself, they're able to operate and run this business on their own, whatever it is that you guys wrote down for your team, you have to be that person now as well. So you can't expect your team to be something that you're not doing. You can't expect to be a crown leader and to have this team that's operating and it has all these different businesses and organizations if you're not operating in that same way. So you can now start to visualize your team, but also in the same time take responsibility for, if you want your team to be like this, then you need to be like this. So now you can kind of use these different things, the gratitude that I had you guys write down. You can just take those are just 10 different gratitudes. I'm grateful for XYZ. I'm grateful for XYZ, the 5 now and the 5 in the future. Every morning, just read those, go through that. It's real, and say it as if it's already been done. Say it as if you know it is happened. It's already true. Go through those. You can write these. These are things I write down almost every single day. Like I'll go through and I'll journal, and not every single day will I touch on every single one, but whatever it is, maybe that day I'm focusing more on the team, or I'm focusing more on how I'm feeling once I'm achieving these ranks. So go through and start to journal. And then after you journal, visualize it. How do you feel? If you just achieved the rank of crown or 2-star crown or 3-star crown or whatever, you're probably going to be pretty excited. Right? So how does that really feel? Are you dropping to your knees with excitement? Are you crying because you're so happy? Like really get into that emotion of how this all really feels. So that's pretty much all I had for you guys today. I hope this helps. Again, it's something I've just been using as an athlete, and then everything I've done in that athlete world has transitioned over almost directly into this world as well. So thanks, you guys. Appreciate it. Oh, Julie, do you have a question? Oh, yeah. If anyone has any questions, feel free to ask.
Hey, can you share those questions?
Yep. Okay, so the first one was the gratitude, 5 things for right now, 5 things in the future, but write them down as if they have happened now. That's the first one. The second one is, what rank did you just achieve? This, I'm talking about 90 days. So you guys can also do this for 2 years, 5 years, whatever. Within that one of what rank did you just achieve, I asked, how did that make you feel? What are you doing? Like, how are you celebrating in that moment? And what does this mean for you? The next question was, what kind of traits and characteristics does this person have? And with that, again, just writing it down as if you already have those. If you don't, or if you're working on it, when you're writing it and when you're visualizing it, you already do. The next one is, what is your team like? So just laying it out, really painting a picture of what that team looks like. Because we all know it's not about the actual rank. It's about the person that we become in the process of achieving that rank. It's just like when somebody earns, when people win the lottery, they win millions of dollars. I think it's crazy right now, but they win millions of dollars. What usually happens? You usually go bankrupt. And that's because they did not become the person to actually receive that $1 million. They just received the $1 million. But when you have someone like Jim Rohn, for example, who became a millionaire, and he became the person to become a millionaire, it was not the actual millions of dollars itself. It was the person that he had become. So when he went bankrupt, he was able to become a millionaire again within a couple years because he was already that person. It wasn't because he was just handed $1 million. If you're just handed $1 million and you're not the person to actually, it's just going to emphasize who you already are. So we're just working on becoming the person to actually receive that rank, to achieve that rank, not necessarily the rank in itself. It's about the person that you are becoming. So visualize that person, become that person right now.
Can we all become that person right now? Who's got a question for Jill? Jill, that was phenomenal. Thank you.
Thank you.
My gosh, my God, you are a champion. You are a champ, I'll tell you. Who's got a question for this amazing woman?
Can I have your autograph?
You are ridiculous.
All right, come on, somebody speak up. Come on, say hi to Jill, everybody. Come on.
Thanks, champ. Wow. This is Shiva here in Ojai, California. Appreciate what you've contributed today. Congratulations on all your success. And I don't think there's a doubt in anyone's mind here that you are just getting started. I mean, talk about crown champion material here. That was, I know the company corporate hired some, famous person in this particular visualization field, vision boarding, to train, do a massive training. I think they would have much better used their investment to hire you to do it. So Michael and Lucy, if they're thinking about doing that again, I would put Jill's name at the top of the nomination list. Just phenomenal. Quick question regarding professional sports and the Purium economy. Whatever you have to say about this is much more knowledgeable than my current thinking on it, Jill. But I'm talking to a top professional competitor in their field of professional sports, and just learning about what their life is. They're held to very strict standards of testing, and they're regulated by this testing organization called USADA, which I think is also does the UFC and many other famous professional sports. And so they have to have very, very strict accountability about what gets put in their body. Now, of course, I know Purium, there's nothing in it that's harmful in any way or anything other than the best and most natural. But what's your experience with working with or even approaching potential brand partners in professional sports who have to adhere to these very strict random testing standards?
Mm-hmm. I actually did talk to a woman. She's in the UFC. I used to train with Chris Cyborg. I don't know if you know who she is.
Yes.
She's not the one I'm talking about, but I used to be one of her sparring partners.
Whoa.
So one of the women that I just talked to, she actually has a fight coming up in the UFC. So she actually did.
Jill, if you can hear me, you're frozen. Oh, we'll see what goes on here. You might need to move.
Glad it wasn't just me. She froze just as she started to answer the question. I thought it was maybe my connection.
That good question, Shiva. Very good question. Yeah. So Jill, we can't hear you. I don't know whether you can move to another spot to share more, but if we'll wait for you patiently.
And the competitor that she was just mentioning, Chris Cyborg, for anyone who doesn't follow the highest level of mixed martial arts, is one of the top competitors. And just further respect to Jill, shows you the level of competitor she is, that she could be the sparring partner of real icon in women's mixed martial arts. Is my respect for Jill as an athlete just went to a whole new level after learning that information. So the fact that her face is so intact is another testament to her skill. Believe me, if you saw Chris Cyborg, you would, as fierce a fighter as you've ever seen. But if we could answer the question offline if we lost Jill due to the technical. But that's a great question for people who, would be great world-class Purium brand partners and want to do it, but they have this very strict random testing and certification, standards for that those markers is Purium. We wholeheartedly, offer Purium to them, that it will, not cause them to be disqualified from the testing standards that, Jill again knows this, but we could talk about it another time. But that was my professional question. In terms of the visualization,
Well, we lost you.
world-class training, world-class training.
Well, that was a world-class. Thank you for sharing that, Shiva. It's good to hear your voice, brother. You know what? Let's talk a little bit about what you got out of the call here today. Maria, why don't you share for a second? What did you love that you heard from Jill's information today?
Did you say Maria?
I said Maria.
I wasn't sure. No, that was really thorough. I liked how simple. Oh, she's back.
She's back.
Yay. Let's let her answer the question.
Something happened to my internet. It just shut off, so I'm on my phone.
Oh, good. Go ahead, Jill. You can. You remember? See Shiva's question.
Yeah, I don't even know what you guys heard, because I just kept talking and then I realized I was frozen. So so from what I said, I have right now I do work with some professional boxers. One of my friends, she has a fight next on Thursday, so she's been taking Purium for the last 2 years. She gets tested and all that, and she hasn't had an issue. There is the other girl that I work with that she's in the UFC, that I've talked to her, so she's actually going to take it and show it to somebody to see if it's going to be approved. But I have personally not had an issue with anything coming back with testing or anything like that, because we know it's just food. As of right now, I think there is one thing. I think Brandon might know what it is that maybe somebody shouldn't take if they're going to be getting tested. Brandon, do you happen to know?
Super Life Plus and the Flex Speed. It's the Belvedere Antler. I know that's for. We got Olympic athletes on the team too, so at that level they were testing. And he said he couldn't use those things, but there's other athletes that are in the NFL that use those same products and they don't get tested. So I think it also depends on maybe the level of competition.
Yeah, so that's as best as I can answer that. So for me personally, I have not had any issues with the testing.
Thank you. That really helps. And it just occurred to me, one of the things we can wholeheartedly look people in the eye and tell them is, we know, as Michael says, we know exactly what's in our ingredients, what's in our foods, and we know exactly what is not. So they can look at the label and get the truth. And thanks for Brandon and Jill for your expertise here on that.
Mm-hmm. Yes, thank you.
So go ahead. Another question, anyone?
Jill, can I have your autograph?
I already gave your daughter's gloves.
So I got a question. So, you're getting in that ring, you're doing 3 minutes of nonstop. Like you said, you couldn't even lift up your arms after that one bout that you had in that first tournament you went to. Like right now, as you eat Purium, what would give me a little bit of your daily regimen of what you eat in Purium?
Of what I take from Purium?
Yes.
Yeah, I got time. Just kidding. So I basically do the ULT plus performance. So that's pretty much what I do every single day. So if I'm taking you guys through a day, again, I work out in the morning. Sometimes I'll run or work out again later in the evening. Right now I'm not technically in camp. So when I'm in camp, I do work out multiple times a day. So right now it's mainly one time a day. So I'll wake up. The first thing I'll do is I'll take the super aminos. I take 10 because I'm about to go train right after that. I go straight to training after taking the super aminos, and then I mix the Can't Beat This with the pineapple cocoa hydrate. And then I also take the super xanthan. So that's what I take. That's my routine. When I first wake up, I'm taking those, and then I'm heading to the gym. I go to the gym, and then post-workout, post-workout, I will take the MVP Sport protein powder. If it's more of an endurance workout, I'll do the protein MVP Sport 3 tablespoons, and then I'll do 3 tablespoons of the power shake. If it's more of like a lifting, strength and conditioning type of workout, then I'll take just the MVP Sport protein. And I'll go throughout my day. I'll have a meal. I'll have a couple meals throughout my day. And then later, and again, as far as the Purium product goes, I will have another power shake on its own later. I will again take the super aminos later. I'll just take 5 though. And not because I'm gonna work out or anything, just because I'll just take them. And then other side things I'll take, and then of course I take the Biomedic with my meals. And then I take the apothecary before I go to bed. But some of the other additional things that I like to include are the ionic elements. I like to put that in my power shake. I like to put that in my I like to put it in everything. It's pretty simple to use. So that I like to use the Joint Flex. The Revividol. That one I really like, especially for reflexes and boxing, because we have to. It's like a chess match, like a physical chess match. So just being very aware. So I like to take the Revividol as well. I know there's something else. Oh, Aloe Digest. So yeah. So I pretty much do the ULT plus performance plus some. And then I'm also taking the skin, that BioRegen, BioRegen, the one in the morning and the one at night. So that's just in addition to, I take those as well. So that's pretty much what my day looks like as far as me actually taking the product. And pretty much every day is the same. The weekends are a little bit different because my training's a little bit different on the weekends.
Well, if you ever have to really, like when you do the apothecary before you go to bed, if you really want to if you really got to get some deep or even deeper sleep, do a couple of the relax, the regen and the relax.
Oh, I do. Yeah, that's that. I take that as well. Yeah, the BioRegen. I'll take that with my apothecary.
The one that's regen or relax?
Relax. Sorry, regen in the morning, relax at night.
Ah, good for you. Now, I tell you, I'm inspired, y'all. I mean, I eat my. Do you ever do the CBD, or is that something that doesn't work out? You like the CBD?
Yeah, I take the CBD too. Sometimes I forget to take it, so I more so will take it like, oh, like I feel like I just had a really hard workout. I might need some extra additional support with what's going on. So I will take that. Sometimes I just forget to take it, but that is something that I do take as well, the CBD oil.
Well, I'll tell you what, you feel very strong, just your energy, Jill. And I would imagine that being that you're a training to box, to be top level boxer, your chi is so powerful, and your focus. I love your focus and how you tune in, and how and that presentation you just gave us was just a delightful experience. And we'll get this posted on Lucy's YouTube page and her Love Team page, and everyone needs to probably watch this, and start really watch it again and again. And there again, there are so many great calls on Lucy's YouTube page from different people we've had talking that please take the time to spend 15 minutes and watch a section of different ones is what I do. And it really inspires me and just gets me more focused. So, and also Leslie Zann's Tuesday calls that are in the iLearn. Just whatever it takes for you to get a little more focused with these things. So Jill, wow, that was a superb presentation. So when is your next tournament?
So I was supposed to have one this month, but it got pushed back to October. But now the one in October might not happen. So I might have to wait till next year. I was going to take another amateur fight before going pro, just to kind of a tune-up fight, since I haven't fought since 2019 because of COVID. So now it looks more so like I'm probably going to have to take my amateur fight the beginning of next year, and then take my first, do my pro debut after that.
Hey, congratulations. So I got another question for you. So without you giving away your competitive edge, because if you knew if you were training and you had a fight tonight, okay, what with the 2 or 3 hours, 4 hours before that major event, what Purium do you think you would eat to go up to that 7 o'clock fight? What would you do starting around noon?
Well, when I went to the Olympic trials, I was taking Purium. So what I did then is I did very similar routine to what I did now. I just had to, the foods that I was eating besides just Purium had to be something I could absorb a little bit faster. And I didn't want to have too much digestion going on while I was fighting. So my foods that I would consume would be a little bit different, a little bit more fast absorbing. But as far as like the Purium product, my routine was pretty much the same, but except the fact that I would have to weigh in. I wouldn't take anything before weigh-ins. I would go weigh in, and then afterwards I would start. And because I was now fighting at nighttime, or usually I would train in the morning, I would then switch my routine to now I'm taking 10 super aminos. And I would probably do this about an hour. I know before training, I would do it a half hour, but before a fight, I would do an hour just in case. I want to make sure everything's good. I'm not like having a cramp or anything, but usually it doesn't happen, but that's more because of just the emotions I'm going through. So an hour before I would have the 10 super aminos, and I would still take the Can't Beat This, the super xanthan, and the pineapple cocoa hydrate, and the Revive-It-All about an hour before I fought.
Wow, Jill, you're an inspiration, and thank you for being so supportive and sharing all this great information. We all appreciate it. Does anybody want to have a closing comment before we close this call? If anybody want to make a comment to Jill?
Yeah, I just want to say that the way that you presented was so simple and succinct. That's really, really, I appreciate that. That was really nice. So sometimes you get, you hear about visualization and you hear so much. Just bringing it into the basics, and the questions were very useful. So that was awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Anyone else?
I just
Well,
want to say, wait, Jill, thanks. It was really, really well done.
Of course. Thank you.
Stop the recording here. Hold on one second.